What is going on, folks? Will Turbot here. Fake Mike. Real news. Snatched it up. It's been a while since I snatched it up. What's going on, guys? Share the video right now. Who's here in the chat with me? We have an amazing guest returning to the show. It's been a long time. Guys, who's out here with me right now rocking? We got a lot of stuff to talk about, guys. I haven't been live in like a week or so on this channel. I got a lot of stuff I've been working on. So expect a flurry of videos coming very soon and a whole bunch of new interviews. So check that out. What up, Fortune to Dawn? What up, Darlene? Yeah, I want to say everyone find me on fakemikerealnews.com. Find me on Instagram, Fake Mike Real News, TikTok at Fake Mikey, fakemikerealnews.com. Let's see, Twitter, Fake Mike Real News, Odyssey, Fake Mike Real News. What else am I on? I'm on everything, guys. Fake Mike Real News on Facebook, fakemikerealnews.com on Facebook. Demand the truth. Demand the truth. Yes, it's an extremely aesthetically pleasing background, guys. See how I decorated this? I'm gonna take you on a tour of my cribs. It's very nice. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some crazy stuff today. Find me. Also, thank you to everyone that gave me a donation on $ Fake Mike Real News on Cash App. Appreciate that. Shout outs to Auditing America. Find me on Auditing America. Find me on Demand the Truth. You already know. Find me on Eyes on the Audit. What up, PSAU? What up, pimp? Thank you for those kind words, guys. All right. I mean, I got a lot of stuff to cover too. So we're going to get to our guests in a sec, but I want to make sure you guys are sharing the video so we can get as many people in here for this information as possible. And I want to do that because Adam's one of those dudes that has unfortunately been tremendously shadow banned. All right. Oh, here we go. Adam, welcome to the stream, pimp. How you doing?
Outstanding. Thanks so much for having me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's an honor to have you on as always, man. If you have it, we'll get to some questions from the chat, and I have some questions for you too. I don't know how to get this thing off my screen here, but what's new, man? What's going on with you?
Well, I know this is going to sound totally out of the blue, but I think we can connect it to some issues your audience might care about one way or another. I recently discovered a litter of abandoned puppies on a property nearby mine, and then had another neighbor of mine claim that, whose property it's not, that they were his puppies, and that I'd stolen them. And then in the course of this text conversation with him, he admitted that he's running an abusive puppy mill and keeping his dogs outside in a hazardous way, where they've actually come on my property and eaten our cat food and attacked my dogs as well. And then he threatened to file a false terrorism report against me. Isn't that great? He actually sent me a screenshot from his phone of the Arizona Joint Terrorism Task Force and said, "I know where you live. I'm gonna bring the hammer of government down on you." And I said, after you just admitted to like a dozen different crimes of animal cruelty by text message here, bro, go ahead. They know who I am already. Have at it. And then he said, you called my bluff. So I'm pursuing, and I think this is a rather elegant solution. And if anybody really wants the whole drama backstory, I mean, this is pretty cool. We had a big party 2 weekends ago here for my 40th birthday party. And thanks. Yeah. Well, I only mentioned it because I'm 40. Because until which was actually I turned 40 on February 1st. But before that, I had turned 29 like 11 times. So finally admitting that I'm 40 was like, it was a really big deal for me.
Why'd you change it up? Because I'm similar to you, because I was born in '82 myself, And I tell people, theory of relativity, quantum physics, law of attraction. I'm keeping myself at 26. I've been staying 26 for a while. So what made you upgrade from 29 to 40?
No, it's well, I've been like that. Rob Lowe's character from Parks and Rec. That the guy who's always like hyper working out. Oh, I got it. Well, the scientists say the first man who's going to live to be 120 has already been born. I think it's going to be me. I'm like, yes, I'm 40. This is my 10% life crisis. I'm going to live to be at least 400 fucking years old. Like, thank you, Dr. Aubrey de Grey, and life extension and modern medicine and awareness of nutrition and blah, blah, all this. Like, yeah, I think we are going to be the generation that actually defeats aging scientifically. And to me, if you've never heard of longevity escape velocity, it's this basic idea Dr. Aubrey de Grey came up with, which is that once life expectancy potential, not actual life expectancy. I mean, if dumbass corporations and Monsanto fueled bullshit, is leading people to eat themselves to death at a younger age, that doesn't change sort of the potential for longevity based on technology, nutrition, awareness, medicine, et cetera, et cetera. Life extension potential, once it goes up by 1 year per year, nobody has to die of old age anymore except by choice. And we're about there. It's a pretty exciting time to be alive. And I live differently now. Part of it is just like seeing that, saying like I want to hold on, I want to live, as long as I can. I want to live richly, and I still do crazy shit and put my life at risk on a regular basis, but I want to keep doing that for hundreds of years. So like with my neighbor, calling him out by text, I just want to wrap up that story. But I'm offering to buy him out. And if anybody wants the whole video with the puppy rescue and everything, we went back to my original YouTube channel for this. I think it's pretty hard to get censored for rescuing puppies. So youtube.com/Adam Kokesh. More importantly, everything I do is through my main Telegram channel, t.me/Adam versus the man. But when you say what's new, to your question, because you're interviewing me here, right? I've entered a different phase of my life at 40, and I've taken, like, I don't really give a fuck about birthdays, and we celebrated with my birthday party 2 months after my actual birthday. So I'm not a sentimentalist. I'm not one to celebrate arbitrary benchmarks or things like that. But what I have done is really taken this as a moment of pause and reflection. And for men in modern society, in first world countries, and really most of the world today, the idea of being a truly independent, self-sufficient person, let alone a man, has really been beaten out of us. And we are very fortunate to be on a different timeline, relationship, life building wise, than women who have the biological clock ticking. But and everything I'm saying that's sort of gender biased here is deliberately so, but not to an exclusive degree. I don't really care to pigeonhole people by biology. You define, and I'm actually, I as much as I'm sort of, anti all the bullshit around trans issues right now, I really do believe in their fundamental assertion that, like, what defines your gender is in your mind, not your crotch or your body. Like, and if I still say, don't mutilate your body, don't fall for the bullshit, don't fall for the propaganda, don't fall for the hypersexualization. But there's something in the emasculation of society in our generation that I think is really incumbent upon men of our age to reclaim. And that's been a big part of my 10% life crisis that would normally be a midlife crisis, right? But now taking this moment of pause in my life, to think about transitioning from that, young man career building, establish yourself, prove yourself, gather resources, be ready to support a family, to actually doing that. And for me, the big shift actually came 6 years ago when I bought this land here, 10 acres in the Arizona mountains. And man, I love living here. And I just it's funny that you catch me at a time when I love talking about homesteading and the lifestyle. And it's like, yeah, and I just found out my neighbor's running a puppy mill.
Well, the stuff that you're doing over there is really cool too, besides the unfortunate run-in with your neighbor. And that's one of the things that I admire about Adam. Not only is he a very eloquent and powerful speaker, but he's one of the few people, and because there's a lot of people like that, but he's one of the few people that actually walks the talk. And he gets out there and does a bunch of stuff. You know, it's great to do it behind the screen, but it's even more important to get out there nonviolently and do some activism. And you know, just briefly touching upon the shadow banning too, because we have your channel here up on screen, and I actually make this point quite frequently, right? If you look at Adam's channel right here, he has 263,000 subscribers. That slowed down. That basically stopped at 250K. But if you look at the views, I mean, the views are comparable to the views on my channel. But the only difference here is my channel has 12,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
So you're getting the same type of views, and you have over 250,000 subscribers. I don't even have 20K. I only have 15K. I notice your site is down too. So I think if you guys are just joining, make sure you share this video. Find Adam Kokesh on Twitter. He's still on YouTube. Find him on Odyssey. I'm on Odyssey. Check out Adam Kokesh on these platforms. But yeah, what's the best place for people to reach you and to purchase your book and help support you?
You know, I don't really care about anything other than Telegram and Odyssey right now. That's everything else is kind of secondary. That I'm really excited about Telegram. I'm really excited to be building a channel there. But you know, I also want to say, well, you know, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have interviews like this, because like I have reached 10 times as many people doing interviews on other people's platforms over the last 5 years than on my own. And the numbers thing you point out with my YouTube channel is just one obnoxious point, but I can't claim that I've put in the effort on YouTube. I mean, I gave up on it when I got demonetized back in 2013 when it was bought by Google. And I just want to point all this out to anybody who appreciates my message in general, or your message, or independent media in general, that you have to be an active, engaged member of the audience to make independent media even possible. And I'm actually kind of shifting away from focus on media production because I'm having so much fun just taking advantage of other people's channels. And like I just show up and click a StreamYard link. I don't have to set up anything else. Like, yes, this is awesome.
Yeah, and
it's more fun.
And you know what? I'm like one half of Auditing America too, and that has 231K subscribers. So we should get you on an interview over there, because that's not banned over there. That's a place for some videos still are. We confronted a lot of people on that channel in the confrontations of Biden and Hillary. They get way less than the other ones, but for the most part, we're not shadow banned right there. So we'll have to set that up whenever you get some spare time to get you.
Well, hey,
people.
If you're not shadow banned, one interview with me will fix that. I mean, that's all you got to do, man. Like, yeah. I don't know that. I know that for me, I've gone through, you know, being same age as you, you know, like Facebook was a thing first when I was in college. Like social media got fucking deep in my brain. It was 4 years ago-ish, like I decided to really formally disengage from Facebook psychologically, like not just like cut it out of my routine. Like if we're gonna post content there, we can post content there. But like it's a toxic environment, and if you're always fighting that or resisting it, it's not worth it. You know, a lot of activists will tell me, well, I'm on Facebook because that's where the conversation is. Well, no, that's where the twisted, controlled, perverted conversation, where at the top of your news feed, they put the bullshit drama that's going to suck you into comment and make you more angry. Like, nothing I'm saying is even controversial. I'm just like pointing out the implications, like get the fuck off of Facebook. And I understand, you know, you want to step into that sewer of a conversation for a specific purpose. I'm not saying like it's inherently bad, but you got to get it out of your brain. It's not healthy. Like there are bigger things that are more important to living a good life. And for me, I know that the work that I'm doing with Homefront Battle Buddies, my veterans nonprofit to get vets stoned here in the woods, among other things. Alternative therapy is not available through the VA. Mushrooms, MDMA, ketamine, cannabis, DMT. Just some of the ones that I'm excited about for their potential with veterans. And I just figured out how to beat psilocybin charges with my case in Colorado, so I don't have to worry about
that's what I
talking
wanted
about
to
that
talk about
publicly.
next. Let's talk about license plates and mushrooms, because I think this is going to surprise a lot of people, even from you. What the outcome was.
Well, I mean, did it surprise me? I'd like to think that this was the culmination of all of my self-training and experience in civil disobedience, because I mean, for people who don't know the basic story, first I drive without license plates as a means of asserting my rights. I have
tell
a right.
people about that too, just in general. Like, what's that like? I mean, how often you get pulled over? What do they say? What happens? Because, yeah.
Well, most cops know better than to fuck with me. Usually, from looking at me. Last time I got pulled over for the no plates in Arizona, it was a state highway patrol in Flagstaff, and pulled me over and said, "Hey, I don't have a license. I don't have plates on this car. I don't have insurance. But if you want to look, I have the title. You can look up the VIN and see that it's, I'm the legal owner of this vehicle." That's all I said. And he came back to me and said, okay, ran the number, came back to me and said, "Sir, I have to inform you that your license has been reinstated." And I was like, what the fuck? I thought I'd been driving without a license this whole time. And what happened is, here in Arizona, due to COVID, right? Because we can blame it. Oh, wait, are we on YouTube? Are we on
Yeah,
YouTube?
sorry. Bye, guys.
Sorry.
That's okay. I've already been banned. We're almost back up to where we were before we got banned. But don't worry, I got like 3 other channels, so don't worry. I'm not going anywhere.
The virus the cop told me it was because of COVID economic strains that there were so many unpaid tickets that the state, and that's how I had lost my license. Like, I got an Arizona license when I first moved to Arizona. It's good for 35 something years. But I tried to lose it as soon as I realized, like, I don't want to play this game. And I got a few tickets and I didn't respond. I got letters in the mail. I said, "Okay, your license is revoked." I'm like, "Great. Now I'm a free man on the land." And then they tell, no, we had to batch reinstate. This is what the cop told me on the side of the road. We had to batch reinstate tens of thousands of driver's licenses because way too many were suspended for failure to pay tickets.
Wow. That's the government. It's even inefficient at taxing. That's surprising.
So I want to bring, this is going to sound like, again, a complete sidebar, but I want to bring in another example here to make this point before I finish telling the mushroom story. The story is actually about mushrooms. Trust me, it gets better. But I just saw a post on Reddit that someone like cropped out and turned into a meme. And it was someone saying, like, "My wife and I have just had to deal with a new medical condition. And even though we had insurance and savings and we had, we did everything that we were told to do, this bankrupted us." And I was like, yeah, that's what you get for doing what you're told by fucking psychopaths who hate you. Like, no, stop doing what they tell you to do, because they don't have your best interest in mind. Like, is that so hard to understand? It's easy to understand, and I know, Will, your audience gets that, right? I don't have to really explain further. I can just introduce that other point. Yeah, you do what you're told, you're gonna get fucked because the system is set up to fuck you. Like, why does government exist? To make the rich richer at the expense of everybody else. That means you get fucked. So in this case, back to the license thing, it's easy to understand. Okay, if I do what I'm told, it's going to be worse. If I don't do what I'm told, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to be freer. I'm going to be happier. And it's still true when it comes to petty vehicle bullshit. It's still true when it comes to zoning. A bigger example of this for me, because the driving is almost a petty protest. The mushrooms is more important. I promise we'll get to that eventually. But like here on my land, when we got here 6 years ago, we started building without any kind of permits. And we actually made videos. Haha, we're building without permits, fuck county zoning. And they were a little more intellectual than that. But came out the gate, we're in protest, whatever. They came after me and threatened me with hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines, including for camping on my own land for more than 10 consecutive days or 30 cumulative days in a calendar year. $750 a day for that violation. I'm
oh my God, that's an expensive campground.
yeah.
Especially
Outdoor
when you're
storage
on it.
of building materials. $750 a day. We've been here for like 6 months at that point. So there were a few dozen of those, and it added up to like hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. And I put the guy on blast and said, this is extortion. The zoning shit doesn't apply here. I own this land outright. And even according to your zoning, there's a loophole, there's an exemption. I qualify for that exemption. And if you think I don't, you have a burden to prove it before you try to fine me. And by the way, here's the guy's phone number. Call him and tell him to leave me alone. Apparently, he got death threats, the head of county zoning, and met me with a handshake offer of, like, I'll sign this paper that says you agree to bring your property into compliance, and I'll leave you alone as much as I can with it. Well, I said it more like, you promise you leave me alone as much as you can without losing your job, and he did. But what I did was set the stage for the next round. When people were being harassed out here, they looked at my example. So when county zoning came after like six other families in the area here, they all stood up at the same time. And it got so heated, they had to have a community meeting with one of the county supervisors, and the head of county zoning had to back off of their bullshit racket position and say, we're going to complaints only enforcement policy.
Wow. Thank you.
Compliance is costly. Rebellion is free. And it's free.
That's a great quote.
And every time I have more cleanly and consistently recognized that their authority that they are trying to coerce me into recognizing is bullshit, the better off I've been. So to the story, I got pulled over driving through Colorado for not having plates on my car. When they ran my information, they said I had 3 warrants for my arrests in Texas. That's not true. They weren't actually, I had in the past, but they weren't active warrants. And so they pretended they're active warrants, so they have an excuse to search me, bring out dogs, blah, blah, blah. Was it an honest mistake, or was it, another roadside shakedown? And they looked that up and said, this is a guy passing through, we can fuck and rip off and get a few $1,000s out of our ticket bullshit system, maybe get him for some other charge, and then he'll go home and plead out, and we'll get another, 5, 20, whatever $1,000 out of him into the system in legal fees and, all the other bullshit. And they searched my car and found, and man, it was hilarious what they did with my weed stash. Because they took it out of the containers and like weighed it and then put it back in evidence envelopes. I still have it, like it's my souvenirs from the event. But I also had a pouch, like a little plastic envelope full of capsules of ground up psilocybin mushrooms. And I am legally allowed to own these because I'm a fucking human being. I have the right to decide what I put in my own body, but also legally under U.S. law, under the First Amendment, because I do it for religious, spiritual reasons, because I can claim, because I said so, that this is part of my religious practice. But even further, according to U.S. legal precedent, because I'm a card-carrying member of the Oklahoma Native American Church, I'm lawfully entitled to carry sacrament. And anything that is a naturally occurring substance can be claimed under that legal precedent. And so they were completely wrong in arresting me. And I told them, as I explained it to them, and they ended up holding me. And I'll this is like the part of the story that it took me 3 hours to tell on my own podcast, because they took me into jail and I just refused to comply the entire time. They said, do you want a fingerprint put on oranges? No. Do you want to go to a holding cell? No, I'm going to sit here. Do you want to? No. And I just demanded all my rights. And by the way, I'm vegan, fucking demanded they cook me vegan food every day. And I stayed healthy in jail. I worked out. I felt great. And I filed a motion to dismiss on the religious grounds. And I had my amazing girlfriend, G.I. Mary Jane, Joey Lee, doing PR and call floods on the outside for me, although I was barely in contact with her, because I didn't play ball with them, When they said, hey, do you want to go to court, your court hearings today? Tell the judge to go fuck herself. Like, no thanks. I was hostile sometimes. And I'm not perfect, but it'd be nice if I was perfect Zen Buddhist. No, thank you, just all the time. But I had too much fun. I was friendly, interacting and joking with the guards, and sometimes it got a little casually hostile and calling them out for being on the side of evil in this case. And it took me 12 days of absolute non-compliance. But not only did I beat the case, I almost got an apology out of them, and I got them to pay for my vehicle towing and impound. And normally, it's just one more way they fuck people, right? Just the petty extortion. I mean, if you've ever been pulled over and been taken out of your car for whatever reason, and your car to go somewhere else, no matter what the legal outcome is, you go to pick it up a few hours later, you go to pick it up the next day, it's at least a few $100 towing and impound fees.
Yeah, actually, my buddy, his cousin was one of the officers shot in New York City a few weeks back. He went to the funeral and he went to go to the hotel. He parked where the hotel said he could park legally on the street. And what happened is the NYPD came through. They just literally snatched cars up off of the streets that were legally parked. Towed them all, made everyone pay tickets, but he caught up with the guy. He said, "Hey, I'm here for the police funeral." "Oh, okay, here, take this, you'll be fine." But yeah, they're literally just stealing cars off of the streets. It's insane. And so I'm really glad that you did that, honestly, because I've been arrested several times for activism, and I'm like, it was never really came across my head like it was a choice to refuse fingerprints. I've done activism in other ways, but I should have said I did. That's something that I didn't even consider. And what you're saying is very powerful because once you start complying with them a little bit, I'm not going to lie to you though. I'm always, especially with your history, let alone my history, I'm worried when I get in cuffs when these guys. I don't know. Oh, the camera goes out. Oh, well,
here. Let me give you another. I want to transition from this, but let me give you an example of a situation where non-compliance is like if you comply, you might die. Okay, let's say you go to jail and you have a medical condition where you need your prescription. If you don't get your prescription, you're going to die, right? Or you're going to be like intensely physically suffering as a result. If you go. What you start protesting when you go into the jail. Hey, officer, I need my medication. I'm happy to comply, but I need my medication. And they're going to say, okay, we'll get you your medication as soon as you print. Okay, we'll get you your medication as soon as you get your photograph. We'll get you your medication as soon as you check in and get your oranges on. Oh, no, the nurse isn't here, so I guess we can't get you your medication until next week. Fuck you. Whereas if you go, hey, officer, all that's great. I can't comply with anything until I know that my health is safe and you are meeting your legal requirements to take care of me. I'm sorry, officer. I love you as a human being. I respect your, I mean, you can even kiss ass if you want. You don't have to, but I respect your authority here. You don't, and I had that's kind of cringe. I respect your role here. Let's say that, right? I respect your role here, sir or ma'am. But I cannot comply until I know that you are going to comply with what is required for me to be safe and healthy right now. And right now, I need to know that I have my medication first, right? So this is one example. But I want to say too, like I've done sillier shit in non-compliance than what I did in Colorado. When I got arrested for failure to show ID in New Orleans, and they forcibly process. At one point, I said. I'm not going to resist, but I'm not going to assist because what you're doing is criminal. I will not assist, but I will not resist. And they kept repeating that and making fun of me. But I made them carry me, and they carried me Superman style, like 6 guards. And I'm like floating 3 feet above the ground through the jail, like whee. They carried me, so they carried me around. And they said, "All right, here, you're gonna get your oranges on." I sat down, and like. I just start saying other shit, just talking to them, just doing political rants or, making fun of them for being fat or whatever. And then they said, well, we need to get you in oranges. I said, cool, have at it. and I made them strip me naked and then dress me in there. Like before I would ever comply with that. Oh, you want me to be in oranges? Put me in oranges. And then when they tried to get rid of me in that situation, I actually like wedged myself under the bunk and like made them try to pull me out and successfully resisted a guard trying to pull me out from under the
We
bunk.
have to
Because I
FOIA.
want in writing that the charges have been dropped before I fucking leave this jail. And they came back with a letter from the judge. And then I made them.
The cams of that.
What's that?
We gotta FOIA the cell footage of that. That's hilarious.
Too many old dumb stories, man. But I'll get to the point because like on the way out, I made them strip me naked and put my street clothes back on, and then they picked me up and put me in a wheelchair, wheeled me out to the sidewalk, and then dumped me on the sidewalk. I just absolute non-compliance, and it's better every time. So here's the bigger point, though, because I do these, intense interactions with government in civil disobedience. But none of them are nearly as important in terms of non-compliance with what they, them, those want you to do compared to the lifestyle that I've chosen of living off grid, of being self-sufficient, and getting the fuck out of Babylon. What are you still doing living in a city and saying that you care about freedom? What are you doing still working a W-2 job and paying taxes where the average working American is working for government half the year? Like, no offense, but anybody in your audience will fucking know better. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. This is to every taxpayer who pays more taxes than they have to. Fuck you. You are contributing to the evil of government. Stop it. Fucking, and to Will's audience, you know better. Knock it off. And I hope that more importantly, because I don't want people to think, oh, if I want to be like Adam, I got to go stare down government for 12 days in solitary confinement, and tell a judge to go fuck herself and blah. No, because that's not the important thing. The important thing is what you do with your time. What you do with your labor. What is the actual heart, the meaningful value exchange of your interaction with the rest of society. Try to think about it in those terms. And if it's, well, I get my creature comforts and they get their wars, they get their police state and their surveillance state and all the evils of government, but I get to live in a cozy apartment, with a nice shower and a bathroom and a landlord who takes care of everything for me, and I get to protest. Yay! Fuck you. That is some pathetic beta male shit. Like, for anybody, again, not being trying to be like, yeah, I'll call out men in particular just to be like to fucking cuck shame y'all, but this is not gender specific. Women too need to be making conscious choices about what are you doing, what's your role in the world. Really, it's to be a good tax-paying citizen and to put half of your life effort into contributing to evil. No, like we are put on earth for better things than that. And again, I sound demeaning in saying this because I know your audience is kind of ready to hear this. I know enough about your work and the effect that it has on people, right? So when I say leave Babylon, I know that's going to resonate with some people, and I hope everybody here recognizes that I say this like I out of love. I want everybody to have what I have, and I want to live in a world that enjoys the creative efforts of every human being. I see myself as a citizen of the world, as part of the global human family. I mean, I'm also the king here in my independent microstate. King Adam Charles Kokesh, the first of Gardenia, long may he reign. Titles, formalities, whatnots. The Garden of Freedom, Gardenia for short, is the name of our microstate in development. But yeah, this is what I have gone through, from being in the Marine Corps, going to combat, getting my start in full-time activism with Iraq Veterans Against the War back in 2007. I still consider myself a full-time activist, even though most of what I'm doing now is more in, building organizations and businesses and setting the example in my own lifestyle. I've been on this at least conscious path for 15 years. And in the Marine Corps, we do learn. We like to learn the hard way, and I want people to be able to learn from my mistakes and all the time that I've wasted getting to this point. And I want people to be able to feel empowered to get there sooner. And I would describe it as a paradigm of designing conscientiously your entire life from the ground up, free of the expectations and pressures from other people. And if you don't do that, doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter how much you understand libertarianism or ethical philosophy or politics, you're not fucking free. And it's because you haven't claimed it for yourself. It's one of the things I realized in my longer stint in solitary in DC when I did 4 months, that real happiness and real freedom, it comes from embracing freedom of choice and consciousness. And at least as long as you have a healthy mind and a reasonably healthy body, it's like there's the gap between reaction and response. Well, you're an animal. You're going to have animalistic responses to stimuli. That's fine. But your attitude, your mood, your outlook on life, that's always your choice. And the minute you give that up to somebody else or to those external factors, you're not free anymore.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. Social isolation says, in contrast to where Adam is, he says, currently live in a one-window 5G saturated stack and pack micro apartment on the 14th floor of Tower Block 9, located in the dystopian mass surveillance technological control grid megalopolis hellhole. So we need to get you out on. You need to be king of your own place, social isolation, so you can properly socially isolate. And we were talking about the future earlier, talking about living longer lives, but we also have competing things going on. We have what's going on in the Ukraine. We have the economy is looking really bad. We've got the rise of this technology, CRISPR, the new modern eugenics. What is the future look like in Adam Kokesh's crystal ball? And are you going to try to run again in 2024?
Well, as long as the support is there, I will honor my commitment to my supporters. And we've learned a lot of insights from our tactical mistakes in the last cycle. So yes, I do intend on running for president in 2024 again, on the platform of actually running for not president, the platform of dissolving the federal government entirely in a peaceful, orderly, responsible bankruptcy process that leaves us with 50 independent states and up to 156 Native American nations, 14. My talking points aren't really fresh at this point, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it again because I had so much fun last time, and giving at least the Libertarian Party that choice of nominating someone who had a real plan to fundamentally change things. But the bigger part of your question, like what do I see in the future? I again, I'm getting away from media production, but like when I was doing a daily podcast a few months ago, I would geek out on this stuff all the time. We did Good News Friday, and if people don't know, check out goodnewsnetwork.org. If you need that little adjustment, little outlook, it's a beautiful thing to remind yourself, at least once a week that there's incredible human progress happening in technology and science and just understanding of the universe and exploration and blah blah. All of that is something that if you read the mainstream media, like I have, if you count Good News Network, I have like 2 other main sources of news, and one I hate to admit is Drudge Report because it's an efficient window on the mainstream media. By the way, Drudge Report used to be a credible check on the mainstream media. Now he's just full of shit. You can tell in the way that he presents the narrative. It's not right or left, but Drudge Report is useless as he used to regularly share stuff from InfoWars and Alex Jones. I actually really respected that. But Drudge Report and then on Telegram, I have a news feed with I don't even want to start naming them, so I'm going to leave so many people out. But the last one I looked at was the Free Thought Project. And one of the awesome things on Telegram is that you can subscribe to channels and have an uncensored feed, and that to me is a much better window on current events. So I don't want, like, I'm really excited about some of the major progressions in technology with 3D printing, with a drone you can sit in. Yeah, no shit. It's about fucking time because we've
I
had that
know.
technology for a long time, and they
We
want
grew
to
up
keep
off
us
Back to the
grounded.
Future, and we
Yes,
thought we'd have flying cars well before now. It's really disappointing.
flying cars isn't the term anymore, but technology, yes, should be that leap ahead. And so I think there's going to be a massive lifestyle renaissance in freedom when we are no longer tethered to Babylon. We are no longer tethered to the roads. We can literally just fly. Everybody should have the
Yeah,
equivalent of
what
a
are the
flying
statists
car.
going to say then? What are the statists going to say then when we just fly above the roads? What are they going to say then?
Yeah. Well, by the way, when I got here, my property didn't connect to any existing roads. So you know what I did, right? I built a road. Yeah. Yeah, it's called Ma Road. Street sign even says Ma Road, private road. And cops here are afraid to come down it. They go to my neighbors first to go, is everything okay? Like it's really interesting
Apparently
to
the
see.
FBI wasn't, but the cops.
Well, the FBI was still afraid to cross my fence line. Did you notice
Okay.
that? They came up to my back fence line where they could holler at us and get our attention instead of even, yeah, that was when the oh God. Someone here who was at the Capitol on January 6th.
Were you
They
there
had
too?
no, I was not. They had to confiscate a cell phone. But
Oh.
more importantly, so life extension technology, chips and brains. I mean, we're going to get to the point of uploading our consciousness into a computer. And I know that raises all sorts of crazy issues. I'm all about the transhumanism in a conscious way when government is out of the picture. We don't live under this constant threat of coercion. But the bigger picture, to answer your question, I'm extremely optimistic. And I cite the work of Harvard professor Steven Pinker, who wrote the book Better Angels of Our Nature and did a great TED Talk. And I would really recommend, if you haven't seen this, if you have any skepticism on my point here, watch it. Satisfy your own curiosity. His TED Talk is The Surprising Decline in Violence. And it's based on his work in the book, where he's proven academically, irrefutably, that human violence follows a kind of radioactive decay curve over the course of human history. And he has different explanations for this that I have my qualms with, but I think his core data analysis is irrefutable. Now, Professor Walter Block will tell you coercion has increased and the state has gotten bigger. But to me, freedom really can be measured by, like, we say, how bad is the state? Is big government always worse than small government? Not necessarily. I mean, you could have a big government that's really benign and does more or less what the market would provide, just forces you to put a government label on, and everybody's kind of cool with it, right? And everybody in that society is happy, and it's a small scale, and it's mostly voluntary, right? Or you could have a tiny state that, say, murders 100 people, or murders 100 people every day, and then whatever. You get my point. The measure of evil of government is not how big it is, but how destructive it is, or how much it takes us down from our potential of a voluntary, market-based, individual rights, morality embracing society, and that potential. So I see what Steven Pinker has pointed out in this decline in violence as really fundamental to the nature of humanity, if not the nature of life itself, all the way back to multi-cell organisms beat out single-cell organisms, to human societies who cooperate are able to outcompete those who are always engulfed in conflict. And that is the natural course of progression of life itself, of human life, of intelligent life. And given some caveats, like if we don't get blown up by a meteor first, or a real virus. Oh, did I say real virus? I mean a realer virus. Yeah. That shall not be named. Or the gray goose scenario where microscopic 3D printing, self-replicating robots just eat up the entire planet. I see this progress continuing. And if anything, we humanity, intelligent life, we are the gray goo of the universe. I think we are going to keep expanding. We are going to keep projecting the order for the inclination for harmony, and to and whether that leads the universe back into another black hole long after we're gone, I don't really care. But when I bring that back to the present, that's what counts. And I think what I have figured out in my worldview and what I have embraced as most important has led me to an extremely grounded and practical, rational optimism based on all that.
Let me ask you one more question. It's about time that you have to go. But let me throw two names at you, completely different, and give me your thoughts. Jamal from Rise of the Moors and Joe Rogan.
I'm not familiar with Rise of the Moors or Jamal, but I am familiar with Joe Rogan because he had me on his show, and then I was quite honored to be able to say I've been censored by Joe Rogan. I have been not personally but directly lied about by Alex Jones and Joe Rogan, whoever their handlers are, have put me on their blacklists. And I think what I'll take advantage. I mean, I hope you'll fill me in, or you know, if you have a follow up here, that's great. But I'll just take this opportunity to say what I think makes my message different, and what makes it a threat is not that I talk the talk, but that I walk it, and I show that example for other people, and I set that higher standard. And when you take that out of it, when you say, here's the truth, and here's morality, and here's freedom and libertarianism and righteousness, and the way to go about it is live in Babylon and pay your taxes and vote and hope that things changes, the powers that be go, we love libertarians like that. We won't censor you at all. And when someone like me says all of those fundamental things and says, and therefore you should probably live and act and love and behave and engage with the world differently, they go, fuck that guy, censored, banned. And so, yeah, I'm on Joe
It's
Rogan.
unfortunate. I don't think they're both status. Alex Jones has actually went further and further away from his original message. He's now just like a right wing pundit. Now it's unfortunate, but yeah, you're totally right. Your solutions are far more practical, but they see them as more radical because they lose power. But in the current paradigm, Alex and Joe Rogan, they can keep doing podcasts for years and years and years to come. So I usually don't like to talk about some of the stuff going on, but it's also, you have to point out what's really going on so people can see about that. And yeah, just briefly, the Rise of the Moors were a group of Moors, and I actually know them personally out here in Rhode Island. And
this is the group that was pulled over and demonized as militia and everything, right? Is it an African nationalist kind of like black rights thing?
They wouldn't use the term African. They would say that they're Moors and that they're indigenous people. Right. But yeah. So this is something that these people also walk the talk. There's
yes,
something
absolutely.
Jamal's a veteran. Yeah, as well. He served honorably, and we could get into that whether that's really honorably or not. But for the point to the statist, he served honorably, didn't have a criminal record, and on the 4th of July, he's going up legally possessing weapons. And something I'd never heard that the courts could do. They didn't even establish probable cause. They actually locked these guys up for dangerousness. They just thought that these guys were dangerous. Never heard of this before. And then another judge comes after the 120 days and says, you're still dangerous. So they may be getting out in a few days or not. I would really like to link you guys up together because you guys are people that walk the talk. And I admire you both tremendously. And Adam, thank you very much for the time you give me this afternoon.
Hold on. Before we wrap, let me apologize to Jamal and Rise of the Moors for not recognizing, because I only knew vaguely of the story in the background, and from that first incident where I saw they got pulled over, and there was the whole weapons bullshit. So yes, absolutely, I'm a big supporter of people asserting their rights like that, and I back up everything you just said about the significance of their work as well as being like that kind of fundamental threat. I would just like to say I think my strategy produces more freedom, and I think conscientious non-compliance and really with an eye to de-escalation rather than escalation or more violence. I 100% believe in the right to keep and bear arms as an individual. You get to decide for yourself how to protect yourself anywhere that you have a right to be. On my property, I set the rules. On your property, you set the rules. If it's public fare, then you have a right to carry whatever is appropriate for you if you're not putting anybody else at risk, and to take liability for that risk, is that the responsibility side of that. But in the long run, I'm actually kind of anti-gun. I think we're gonna have better weapons. I think we're gonna have better non-lethal. I would think about if your interest is survival in any kind of individual conflict or even a group conflict, would you rather have a gun that you can miss with, you can hit someone non-fatally with, or would you rather have a taser that if you hit someone in the pinky toe, it stuns them and they're knocked out for 5 minutes and you can tie them up and secure them and de-escalate? I think I think that technology is already out there. It just hasn't been made publicly available or cheap enough to be readily available yet. But I support that displacing firearms as a better means of self-defense. I would still so if we had that technology and you try to bring a gun on my property for self-defense, I'd be like, dude, fuck off. What are you doing here? I don't want that liability. Where's your taser? You want to go play? We'll go play with guns separately and go have fun at the range. We can have a collection of guns, but when you have the ability to protect yourself without destroying someone's life, that's always got to be superior, especially when we know that so many conflicts come about because government wants to escalate. Government aggravates. Government fucks with people's heads, gets people on bad prescriptions, all sorts of other aggravators. And I would just hope that people see that contrast, my strategy versus Rise of the Moors, and that they take a fundamentally, escalatory approach. Whereas everything that I try to do now, at least, and it's not conflict avoidance and it's not pussing out of shit. It's being strong enough to say, I don't have to resort to escalation. I don't have to resort to greater conflict. I can de-escalate and I can stand in my own power and be stronger because I'm creating peace, I'm creating harmony, I'm creating value, and I'm creating more strength and more love. And ultimately, yeah, we might have to wait for some people to die, but the people who were against, they're part of the human family too. Whatever has led them to that psychopathic behavior is some deficiency of love in their life. And I want them to have it too, ultimately.
Yeah. And that's what it's really all about is, our friend Elijah, really put it a lot of ways. Like one of the best solutions sounds corny, sounds cheesy, but it is love. It's a lot of the reason some of these people are stuck in these train of thoughts is because they have low self-confidence or they haven't had love in their life. And it's pretty basic, pretty simple. And yeah, I'd also say too that, I think for the most part, the Moors are trying not to escalate. They just happen to be driving and they kind of blew the situation up more than it was. Actually, if you watch the video, which has been taken down, Jamal does a pretty good job of de-escalation. But you are correct. They have yet to get their own space so they can be left alone. But that is something that they're working on. And I think that's absolutely correct. We need to disengage from this governmental structure and, take our, like you said, we're spending 50% of our paycheck is just going to these guys. That's ridiculous. They didn't do 50% of the work.
And just to be clear, in case anybody doubts that number, it's not just the 30% out of your paycheck. I'm referring to the analysis that looks at the other 70% and goes, yeah, there's another 20% you got to take off when you add in all the other fees, fines, and hidden costs of government that the average taxpaying American is responsible for.
So Adam, thank you. We're responsible for this. So what is the best way people can help you out? Obviously, Telegram, Odyssey, your Twitter's up here. How can people donate to you, purchase your book? What's the best way for people to get all things Adam Kokesh?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it really simple. It's my Telegram channel. I mean, is that my Twitter? You got my Twitter up there.
I know that Twitter is the most mainstream, but I think it gives links to your Odyssey and Telegram right there.
Yeah. So on Twitter, I am at Adam Kokesh. More importantly, Telegram, Adam versus the Man, Odyssey, at Adam Kokesh. And, I have a few other Telegram channels for Gardenia, for our veterans nonprofit, Homefront Battle Buddies. But I really want to if I want you to remember two things, it's my one Telegram channel, t.me/Adam versus the Man, and my personal email. And I check it, and I encourage people to email me and reach out if there's anything I'm doing that you want to get involved with, or learn more about, and that's Adam at thefreedomline.com. So I want to say
And your
thanks.
book.
Thanks
Tell people
everybody for.
about your book. Honestly, I was a libertarian Ron Paul statist, and then I read your book, and then I had influences from some other people too. But that book was very cool because I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and it's easily written so that anyone can understand, and it makes a lot of sense. So tell people about your book.
Well, I think our website is down at the moment, and I still got to figure that out.
If you
The
need help
Freedom
with
Line.
that, Adam, I have a dude. He did my website. My website is dope as hell. He'd probably do it for maybe nothing or something really cheap. So if you're interested in that, I can send you his Telegram. He's on my Telegram.
Yes.
So okay, cool. Yeah, because we got to get that going. But is
you
there
can
a way
still you can still find it. It got pirated, and I mean, if you search Adam Kokesh Freedom Book, I don't know, unless Google scrubbed all that shit by now.
It comes right up onto the PDF. Yeah. But how can people donate to you for working on that book?
I mean, I'm
if people want to the damn links.
The only, so I'm taking donations right now to help me buy my neighbor's land. But I've got that covered with a loan. I'm kind of stepping back from media production, but we take donations through Patreon. I don't really want to ask people for money. I want to, like, if someone really says, I have to chip in, what I want is people to live more meaningfully first. I would say apply my principles, and when you've achieved your perfect life and you've got $1 million, yeah, break off 100,000 for me or something. But until then, do what's meaningful for you. And I would rather have your energy in the cause of human progress, as I've defined it, or your meaningful engagement with something I'm doing. So I'm not going to donate here, donate here, donate here. If people see those projects and they want to get involved, like I'm looking for more meaningful interaction at this point. So, if anybody, again, explore my work, poke around, or from what you've just heard, please send me an email, adam@thefreedomline.com.
Adam, thank you very much. Everyone go check out Adam Kokesh. Guys, I'm going to kick it here for a second. Get you some of your questions here. Because it's been a minute here and you guys had some questions. And what I'll do is if you guys have some questions for Adam, I will I'll go ahead and make a notation of that because I didn't get to all my questions here. And we'll have him back on soon. Maybe have him on Auditing America so we can reach a much larger audience. But yeah, let's see what's going on, guys. Thank you guys for sharing the video. Thank you guys for joining us in the chat. Very much appreciated. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Yeah, Adam is amazing. Do you guys remember his earlier activism when he got arrested at the Jefferson Memorial? That was absolutely epic. I can't believe that's a real thing that actually happened. Insane. New Mexico is in the house. What up, Nick? What up, Charlie? What up, Outlaw Country? Social isolation. That's hilarious. Yeah, Spider-Man, you're absolutely correct about that. Twyla's in the house. Mrs. J is in the house. Fitness for the Average Joe, David Urbina is in the house. Yeah, right, the Matrix, the main pimp. Rozier Hop. Oh, yeah, Andrew Langlis, top spin. We got the crew here. Todd's in the house, smashing the like. Thank you for sharing, Rozier. Yes, that was awesome. Yeah, and I was just in Arizona, didn't get a chance to link up with Adam, but I'm gonna do that soon. And Adam is actually himself he's like a proto auditor himself. He's been out there. He's definitely dressed down some officers and stood up for our rights, and that's why I really admire Adam, because he's somebody that can speak about some of the deepest philosophical truths, but also be in the streets doing civil disobedience and actually out there. And shout outs to the Dolphins, obviously. Shout outs to the Dolphins. Yes, you're absolutely right. All right, guys, we'll wrap this up. Thanks for kicking it with your boy. Got some more interviews set up. So make sure you guys hit the bell on the notifications so you guys, as soon as you get it, you share. That's the most important thing you do, right? I know a lot of you guys here in the chat. Thank you, Frank. From far away, I keep thinking it's a whisk. I don't use emojis because I'm a grown man with chest hair. But if I did, I would use a whisk one. And guys, check out Eyes on the Audit. Yep, check out Eyes on the Audit. My other channel, Eyes on the Audit. Check out Demand the Truth. My other channel, Demand the Truth, for the spice. For the spices. Check out that channel. Also, Auditing America. Go over there. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. The thing is, I can make this content all I want. Adam can make this content all he wants. But unfortunately, because of his shadow banning, if you guys don't share it, it doesn't reach the people. So it's very important that you guys like, share, leave a comment for the algorithm. Find me on fakemikerealnews.com. I'm on Instagram, fakemikerealnews. I'm on TikTok, new TikTok. Old one was hacked by a 14-year-old girl. Sucks. New one's Fake Mikey, Mikey. Also, we got a Telegram too. Fake Mike. We got a Discord, Fake Michael. Sorry, those are both Fake Mike Real News. Let's see, Odyssey, Fake Mike Real News. Demand the Truth on Patreon. Thank you to all my Patreon subscribers. Also, thanks for all the donations on $ Fake Mike Real News on Cash App, Twitter. That's right, Twitter at Fake Mike Real News. Follow me over there. I got some interesting stuff. And yeah, I got some of the spiciest memes in the world. You guys really want to definitely check out Instagram. So guys, stay tuned. We're going to have some more videos coming soon. And we're going to do it. We're not going to read off any teleprompters. We're not going to have a master's hand up our butt like a puppet reading the lies of the military industrial complex or big pharma. It's going to be state to state, city to city, country to country, rocking it with Fake Mike Real News. Peace out, folks.